Your garden has a deadline. June looks like the beginning of summer, but for many crops, it is already the last chance. The soil is warm. The days are long. Seeds can move fast. But wait 2 or 3 weeks too long, and the same sun that wakes your seeds will start cooking them. Young plants stress. Soil dries faster. Cool season crops bolt, and heat-loving crops lose the runway they needed to finish. Today, I'm going to show you 16 crops you can still plant in June, before summer gets too hot. Some grow fast, some love brutal heat, and some need to go in now, because if you miss this window, you may be waiting until next year. Let's begin. June is not just the start of summer. In the garden, it is a crossroads. The soil has warmed through, seeds wake faster, and plants move with urgency. But move past midsummer, and that same urgency turns against you. Depending on your zone, plant early. Choose fast-maturing varieties, and protect young seedlings from brutal afternoon heat. Group 1. Fast crops before heat peaks. Crop 1. Bush beans. If there is one crop almost every gardener can still plant successfully in June, it is bush beans. Warm soil wakes them fast, sometimes in just 3 or 4 days. They need no trellis, no complicated support. They grow, they produce, and in 50 to 60 days, they are ready. Because they mature so quickly. A second sowing in late June keeps the harvest going well into summer. The most common mistake with beans: planting too early, in soil that is still cold. Bean seeds do not germinate in cold ground. They sit, then rot. Wait until the soil feels genuinely warm at planting depth. The next fast crop gives you more shape, more color, and usually more harvest than you planned for. Crop 2. Squash yellow crooknecks, patty pans, scallopinus. Summer squash comes in shapes and colors that make any garden feel abundant. It germinates fast in warm soil, establishes without fuss, and produces in just 45 to 50 days. What it needs most is full sun and ground that drains well between waterings. Plant it now. By midsummer, you will have more than enough to share with neighbors. The next crop looks modest at planting. Then summer arrives and everything changes. Crop 3. Zucchini. Almost every gardener underestimates zucchini at least once. You plant one hill. It looks modest. Then June heat arrives, and the leaves spread wide, the flowers open daily, and suddenly you are checking the garden every morning. The mistake is planting too many. One healthy zucchini plant can feel generous. 3 can feel like a part-time job. That is funny until you realize the plant is not the problem. The plan is. Zucchini is not a crop you plant because you need one meal. It is a crop you plant because you are ready for a routine. Warm soil, full sun, consistent watering at the base. Give it those 3 things, and it will produce with a generosity that surprises you every time. And once you understand zucchini, you understand the rule for this whole family. Warmth plus water can turn one small planting into a daily harvest. Crop 4. Cucumber. Cucumbers love warmth almost as much as they love water. June soil gives them exactly the temperature they need to germinate in days. Train them up a trellis. It saves space, improves airflow, and reduces mildew. Keep up with the harvest. Cucumbers left too long on the vines signal the plant to slow down, and the plant rewards you for paying attention. The most common reason cucumbers turn bitter: inconsistent watering. Wet, then dry, then wet again, stresses the fruit and triggers a compound called cucurbitacin. Water deeply and evenly. No salad dressing fixes a bitter cucumber. Crop 5. Radish. Radish is the crop that proves June is not forgiving. It gives you speed, but it does not give you patience. In cool soil, a radish takes 3 to 4 weeks and arrives crisp and mild. In hot soil, the same radish becomes hollow, pithy, and sharp. The window is early June, before the full weight of summer heat settles in. Get them in now. Harvest before midsummer, and you catch them exactly right. Miss that window, and no amount of patience fixes what the heat has already done. A radish that sits in hot summer soil, even a few days too long, turns hollow at the center and unpleasant at the table. Check them at 3 weeks. Pull them the moment they reach size, don't wait. Group 2. Crops that love brutal heat. The first 5 crops are your fast wins. They move quickly because June soil is already warm. But now we move into a different group. These are not crops that survive summer. These are crops that ask for it. Crop 6, okra. While many plants struggle as temperatures climb, okra almost seems to enjoy it. Give it full sun and the kind of heat that wilts other crops, and okra stands straight and keeps producing. The flowers bloom pale and tropical. The pods form quickly. Check every 2 to 3 days and harvest young before they toughen. For gardeners in regions with brutal summers, this is the crop that earns its spot. Here is where timing becomes everything, and scale becomes the whole strategy. Crop 7. Sweet corn. Corn does not want spring anymore. It wants real summer. Warm June soil wakes corn seeds up fast. Full sun pushes the plants toward their tassels quickly. Each silk connects to one kernel. Poor pollination leaves visible gaps on the ear. That is why corn should be planted in blocks, not one long row. Wind moves the pollen, and a block gives it somewhere to land. The harvested moment, walking through corn taller than you on a July evening, begins right now with a seed in warm ground. From tall stalks to something that spreads wide, moves slow, and rewards every bit of that patience. Crop 8, melon. Melons turn heat and sunlight into sweetness, almost literally. The sugars that make a ripe melon extraordinary develop in response to warm days and warm nights. A cool summer produces a melon that looks perfect outside and tastes like very little inside. June planting gives melons the long, warm runway they need. Train them up a strong trellis with sling supports, or let them sprawl. Give them full sun and well-drained soil, then let summer do its slow, sweet work. And if melons are slow and sweet, the next crop takes that patience to an entirely different scale. Crop 9, watermelon. Watermelons love the kind of heat that ruins cooler crops. Wide leaves, deep roots, a long, slow season. They were built for it. Plant in June and give them the full warm runway they need. Each vine can reach 10 feet or more, so give them room to run. But watermelon punishes crowding. If the vines do not have space, the fruit stays smaller, airflow drops, and the sweetness never reaches what it could have been. At the end of that long summer, a watermelon still warm from the afternoon sun, summer held in both hands. Group 3, long season crops that must start now. Now the question changes. It is no longer, can this grow fast? It is, does this crop still have enough season left to finish? That is where June becomes serious. Crop 10, pumpkin is not a crop you plant whenever you feel ready. Pumpkin is a calendar crop. Every week you delay is a week the vine needed to harden the shell before frost. Most varieties need 90 to 100 days. Plant now. June warmth wakes the seeds fast. The vines run aggressively through July and August. And by October, they are sitting exactly where they belong. It is gardening's most satisfying long game. And it starts today. Same idea, different payoff. And this one stays useful long after the season ends. Crop 11. Butternut squash. Butternut squash is a crop for gardeners who think past the moment. It needs a long season and warm soil from the start. Through summer, the vines grow and the fruits lengthen, their skin shifting slowly from pale green to the warm tan that signals readiness. A cured butternut kept cool and dry can last through winter. Some gardeners pull their last one from the shelf in February. Still sweet, still carrying summer's warmth inside. That possibility begins with a June planting. Group 4. Greens and herbs that still work in June. And now we come to the crops most gardeners give up on too early. Greens. Not all greens can handle June, but the right ones can still feed you when lettuce, spinach, and spring crops start falling apart. Crop 12, basil June, is when basil becomes explosive. The warmer the air, the faster it grows. The more you cut it, the more it branches. A single plant started now can become a generous, multi-stemmed bush by July. Fragrant enough to notice from several feet away. Basil is cold sensitive. Even a mild spring night can leave it yellow and stunned. June nights are warm, and basil moves into that warmth with confidence. Pinch the flowers before they open. Once basil shifts energy toward flowering, the leaves turn bitter and production slows dramatically. Every flower stem you remove becomes 2 or 3 new leaf branches. The next crop solves one of summer's most frustrating problems. What to do when spinach gives up. Crop 13, Malabar spinach. This plant flourishes exactly when normal spinach gives up. Malabar spinach is tropical by nature, a vining plant that climbs beautifully and produces thick, glossy leaves through the warmest months. While cool season spinach bolts and turns bitter the moment temperatures rise, Malabar leans into the heat and grows faster. Give it a trellis and June warmth. It will give you greens deep into summer when few other leafy plants are still performing. Now we leave the vines behind and step into the part of the garden that earns its space on looks alone. Crop 14. Swiss chards. Swiss chard may be the most underrated green in the summer garden. Crimson, orange, golden, white. The stems alone make it worth planting. It handles heat that finishes most other greens. And unlike head lettuce that gives everything at once, chard is cut and come again. Harvest the outer leaves. The inner ones keep growing. 1 June planting. Greens through summer and deep into autumn. It earns its space on every level. The next one needs a little more strategy, because the heat, if it arrives too fast, will end it early. Crop 15. Heat tolerant. Let's lettuce in June is not impossible, but it is no longer beginner mode. Choose heat-tolerant varieties, loose-leaf types, certain romaines. Warm season cultivars that slow the bolting process long enough to matter. Site them where they get morning sun and afternoon shade. Harvest in the early morning while the leaves are still firm and cool. Even heat-tolerant lettuce struggles in direct afternoon sun. A spot with light afternoon shade, from a trellis, a tall neighbor plant, or a shade cloth, can extend your lettuce season by weeks. Plant small batches, harvest young, and do not wait for perfect heads in June. And we close with a crop that climbs and keeps giving back every single time you pick. Crop 16. Pole beans. Pole beans do not just grow. They climb toward summer sunlight. Give them a trellis and they go vertical, saving ground space while producing far longer than bush beans. As long as you keep picking, the plant keeps flowering. Fresh beans from midsummer deep into the season. It is not the flashiest crop on this list, but it may be one of the most reliable ways to turn a June planting into weeks of actual food. Not with one harvest, with a plant that keeps answering every time you pick. That is how you end a June garden. June is a brief season inside a season. Right now, the soil is warm, the days are long, and the heat has not fully become the enemy yet. That balance does not last. Every crop on this list has a reason to go in now. Some reward you in weeks. Some carry you through summer. Some keep feeding you deep into autumn. And a few may become the harvest you remember most from the entire year. So tell me in the comments, what are you planting this June? And what growing zone are you in? I read everyone. And if you want a garden that does not miss its window, subscribe to Rooted Wonders. Because in gardening, timing is not a detail. Sometimes timing is the harvest.